Welcome to Episode 2 Sports. First off, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to anyone who's watching this. And please like and subscribe to my channel and leave a comment at this video once you're done watching this video. And today I'm going to be talking about the Detroit Pistons, who are currently 2-27, had a worst record in the league and in the Eastern Conference. They've dropped 26 straight and are one more loss away from tying the single season record for most losses in a row. They play again tomorrow against the Nets. And they just lost to the Nets the other day. But today I'm just gonna be trying to figure out what's wrong with this team. First, let's start with talking about Monty Williams and his coaching career. He started off as an assistant for his first 5 years when he came to coaching. Then he became the New Orleans Hornets the head coach. His first season there he had CP3, David West, and Trevor Ariza, and was able to get to the playoffs, but they lost in the first round to the Lakers. And then the next 3 years, no playoffs, finished under 500, and all those teams had lesser talent than that original team he had. And this is a constant theme in Monty Williams' career. Is when he has loads of talent, he tends to succeed. But when he has lesser talent, he doesn't even show flashes or anything like that. Because then you get to the 2019-20 season when he's with Phoenix. You have Devin Booker, Kelly Oubre, DeAndre Ayton, and some of these guys, they're still younger, they're developing. And then you got Booker, who's been there, he's great. But this team didn't have that much talent. As they only finished 5 games under 500. They were close to making a playoff push, making a play-in push. In 2020-21 season, they get CP3 and Jay Crowder in the offseason, who are both great veteran players, added a lot to that team. They were able to get to the finals. And they were up 2-0 in the finals against the Bucks, but then they lost the next 4. So they started playing a bit conservative after getting up 2-0, and then they lost. Then the next year, they traded for Kevin Durant and got to the playoffs. They won in the first round, 4-1 versus the Clippers, then lost 4-2 against the Nuggets. And they probably would have lost in that Clippers series if Kawhi was healthy, but that's a lot of situations for players like that. But they were able to get out the first round against the Clippers, wasn't able to get past the Nuggets. And in the offseason, the Pistons, they gave Monty Williams the largest contract for a coach in NBA history. And they're 2-27 right now. And this team, they don't have, outside of Kay Cunningham and Asar Thompson and Jaden Ivey, it's not like this team is loaded with the most talent in the roster. But this team, most talent in the league, but this team should at least be like the 11th or 10th seed in the East. They shouldn't be dead last, on pace to be one of the worst teams in NBA history. You have Kay Cunningham averaging 22 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists on 43, 32, and 87 splits, and he's played every single game. Now, he won't make the All-Star game, and I don't think he should, but he's definitely played at an All-Star type level, and this team should be much better. But he isn't getting help from the other guys around him. I mean, you got Bojan, who's a solid player, but he can't be your second best player on the team, and you expect to win. And since Monty Williams is the highest paid head coach in NBA history, I'm going to compare him to 2 coaches who are considered to be all-time greats and what they did when it came to having lesser talent. The first was Steve Kerr with the Warriors. Those first few years went 67-15 and 73-9, and got to the finals both of those years, and winning in 2015 and losing in 2016. You had Steph, Clay, and Draymond, all talented, great players that were up and coming, but then after that, they add the addition of Kevin Durant for the next 3 years, get to the finals 3 times, win twice, lose one. Then in the post Kevin Durant era, you obviously had the stuff with having D'Angelo Russell and Steph missing most of that season, so they go 15-50 with a pretty bad roster. Then the next year, they're able to bounce back 39-33. Steph was out 9 games that year, and the Warriors went 1-8, so it hurt them from making the playoffs, and they ended up losing in the play-in. Then they'll go 53-29 and 44-38 after that. Was able to get to the playoffs twice in the years after Kevin Durant won a championship once and lost in the second round. And right now, they're 15-14. Like, this team is still some talent. It's not trying to compare them to the Pistons. It's just comparing what Steve Kerr and Monty Williams did as coaches. And even right now, the Warriors are at 15-14 and sitting in the play-in, and they're on a 5-game winning streak right now. Then another coach I wanted to compare Monty to is Greg Popovich, who is considered to be one of the greatest coaches of all time. After the 2016-17 season was the last 60-win season for the Spurs. Then following that, they finished 47-35. Kawhi only played 9 games that year, and the 2 best players were LaMarcus Aldridge and Patty Mills. And we know LaMarcus, he had a great prime, but in 2017-2018, him being one of the best players on your team isn't really a recipe for winning. But Popovich was able to do it, guiding his team to a 47 wins. Then the next year, they was able to trade Kawhi, get DeRozan. They still lost in the first round, but this team's big three was DeMar, LaMarcus, and Brian Forbes. It's still not a great team. It's a bit of talent here, but you see some, even like DeRozan, like he's not good in the playoffs. So, but he's great in the regular season. So that did help a little bit. Then the next seasons following that, they were under 500 the next 4, but they were able to make the play-in twice. So they were still fighting postseason for something. Right now they're 4-24 and have a pretty bad roster. But even Greg Popovich, he had a bit of success when it came to winning in the regular season, being able to lead his team to the postseason. And Monty Williams' contract was 6 years, $78.5 million. And he could get fired this year. And this year I've watched the Pistons play 4 times, and in the games, watched them play 4 full games this season. Saw them play the Pelicans, where the Pelicans won. Seen them play the Nets the other night when the Nets won. I seen them play the Bulls, and the Pistons were able to win that game early in the season, even with Zach LaVine dropping 51. They pulled out that win. And I seen them play the Lakers earlier, where the Lakers got the win 133-107. So this team, so those are the 4 full games of the Pistons I've watched. The Bulls game was quite interesting because Zach LaVine, he had a great game, but the Pistons, they got out to a lead early, held on to it, ended up winning that game by 16. In the games they had with the Pelicans on November 2nd and the game with the Nets on the 23rd of this month, which was recently, they lost both of those games by 11, but they were they win the game for the most part. Then, like, towards the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth, they let those games get out of hand. Then when they played the Lakers, they didn't have a start from They didn't have a chance from the jump. And to get into the stats for the Pistons this season, they're 28th in points per game. They're one of three teams averaging less than 110 points. The only other two teams are the Trailblazers and Grizzlies. And we understand the Grizzlies, they had a lot of injuries, and Ja was out 25 games. Then the Blazers, just a young team figuring stuff out, but they're still managing to get some wins here and there. They have about 7 on the season. That's the difference between them and the Pistons. In the Pistons, they're 22nd in field goal percentage, so you're just not going to win like that. Then when it comes to three-point attempts, three-point makes, and three-point percentage, they're dead last in all three of those. So they're a terrible three-point team, and we're in a three-point centric league now, where you have to shoot and make threes to win. Now, they're pretty good when it comes to offensive rebounding. They're 13th, but when it comes to defensive rebounding, they're 23rd. So that lands them at 21st in rebounding overall. They're 20th in assists per game. And really the only real playmaker on this team is Cade. I mean, I don't see much with Killian Hayes and Jaden Ivey. He's a nice young player, but he hasn't been having a great season, and Monty hasn't figured out the rotation with this team yet. Then the Pistons, they averaged the second most turnovers in the league. Only the Jazz are worse. They're 29th in steals per game, and they're 16th in blocks per game. So even like the defense they're 26th in defensive rating, which all those stats are pretty bad. And they lead the league in personal fouls with 22.9 per game. So they aren't getting steals, and they're fouling a lot. Then they're like in the middle when it comes to getting blocks. So this team just isn't doing anything good defensively. They allow the second most opponent points off turnovers. They're 20th in opponent second chance points. Then they're 12th in opponent fast break points, which is pretty high. And they give up the 7 most points in the paint. So while they're able to get blocks here and there, they're still giving up a lot of points in the paint. And this Pistons team, I don't understand how this team is this bad. You have, this roster isn't terrible. They shouldn't be the worst in the league. You have Kay Cunningham, Ashar Thompson, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, Jaden Ivey. You have some really good, young, talented guys on this roster. And I don't know if Monty is the problem. I mean, all these stats are bad, so definitely some of it goes to the players. Outside of Cade Cunningham, really, because Cade has been doing everything he can. He just had a game a few nights ago where he had 44, and they lost the game by 6. So Cade obviously isn't the problem. I don't know what the problem with this team is, because they can stay in some games, but they tend to let teams pull away towards the end of it. And they haven't won a game, and I mean, they went the whole November without getting a win, and they're probably going to do the same thing in December. Because I don't see, and no team wants to lose to the Pistons at this point. They've already made history of being one of the worst teams in history, and they're getting talked about so much because of it. So whoever loses to this team next will be embarrassed. But that's it for this video about the Detroit Pistons. Please like, comment, and subscribe.